Surprise! Rhys, Dave and Josh here, and assuming Riley has managed to master the IT, we'd like to take a couple of moments of your time to pass on our congratulations and best wishes to the bride and groom. Jade, no doubt you look amazing, and Rhys, well, we all know what you look like, as we saw you in that suit for Josh's wedding, so the less said about that, the better. It goes without saying that we would have loved to have been with you all there today to join the celebrations, but I'm sure our memories of the day will be just as vivid as Hugh and Andrew's after their 11th and 12th pint later on this evening. It's not the story that fed you, but we all know the real reason why Rhys didn't want to have us there, and that was to avoid being on the receiving end of a best man speech. The reasons we felt this eulogy was needed are twofold. Firstly, it gives us the chance to reminisce about all the fun times we had together, and secondly, it allows us to educate your parents and new parents-in-laws on exactly who you are when they're not around. And being such good friends, as with the stag do, you're going to have one anyway, courtesy of this recording, whether you like it or not. So please people, pin him down if he attempts to cause a power cut, just as Dave is about to tell you the story about that time he was telling us which sister he... Wasn't there? Anyway, we'll leave Rhys to fill you in on the details on that one. So, to the best man speech. Rhys, you should consider yourself very lucky to have such good friends, because we all know that you're a shit one, as we're about to elaborate on now.
So as romantic love stories go, it's safe to say the meeting of Rhys and Jade was not one of them. Love at first sight, it was not, as the hundreds of opportunities for them to get together were bypassed. Firstly, they were in the same university halls back in Talabot North when Rhys failed to notice that Jade was on top of him. And then they were both sat in the maths block at the same time trying to figure out how maths works to varying degrees of success. They even attended the same house parties on multiple occasions and not a word was spoken. Instead, it was after a heavy afternoon drinking at the Beer and Cider Festival, where 7% alcohol was the minimum, and Rhys refused to go home. He fancied finding himself some skirt, so he rounded up a group of us and set off to the walkabout, where a drunken Rhys was throwing his shit dance moves and trying his shit pulling technique of backing into a vaguely attractive girl and seeing if she paid him any attention. Unbelievably, when he barged into the back of Jade, she went for it, and so began a blossoming romance. We first knew it was serious between the lovebirds when the Six Nations was on. Wales were playing Scotland in the Millennium Stadium back in 2010. Rhys was in town to watch the game in a pub when he received a last-minute call-up offering a free ticket to the game. Amazingly, he turned it down as he promised Jade that he would watch the match with her. Aww. Turned out the game was a classic, with a last-minute Shane Williams try handing Wales the victory. The seriousness of the relationship was confirmed on Jade's birthday, when Rhys, as he had a habit of doing, pissed the bed after a few too many shandies. This was enough to wake Jade up, who asked Rhys if he had indeed pissed the bed. Following Rhys's confirmation, Jade just went back to sleep. Jade is stuck with him anyway, and nothing shit he's done has managed to put her off. Was she put off by him wetting every mattress he slept in? No. Was she put off when he went on holiday to Turkey for a week, turned his phone off and put it in the safe? No, she just rang the rest of us to make sure he wasn't dead. Was she put off when he said that he wanted her to move to England? No. Was she put off when he said he wanted to start wearing lots of lycra and spending his weekends looking at other men's bottoms? No. Although I'm sure she had her doubts about his sexuality.
Which leads us on to our next analogy. And for this, we're going to play a little game of what animal is Rhys most like. As we've just alluded to, he pisses on every mattress to mark his territory, which, given that she stayed with him so long, we can only assume that his lover finds sexually attractive. He loves being outside, so much so that he makes his parents put on a special mini festival in their fields every couple of years, so we can all sit around eating and drinking. Thanks for that, by the way, Lynn and Andrew. It's one of the best weekends of the year, and we really do appreciate it. Did you guys ever get those spa voucher hotels that we gave to Rhys to give you as a thank you? But back to the guessing game. Rhys came home from work once absolutely stinking of animal feces. We couldn't work out where the stench was coming from. Having confirmed both that his shoes were clean, it wasn't until he sat down on the sofa and started telling Jade that he fell off his bike on the way home that he realised he'd actually fallen in the shit of said animal It was all over his trousers. And now the sofa too.
Classic Rhys.
Talking of excreting, we all vividly remarked on the story that has been told many a time of when Rhys and the other Welsh lads were out one day and drove past a neighbour who had been moaning about said animal shitting in their back garden. So naturally, Rhys decided to curl one out on a leaf and somehow got it launched into their garden. You stay classy, Mr. Davis. Ironically, despite Rhys being very much like this animal, he actually hates them. This hatred was deepened further when a furry member of the Price Stevens household came to visit shortly after Rhys and Jade moved into their new house. You would expect him to sympathise with the bedwetter, but he didn't take too kindly to this incident. Have you guys guessed the animal yet? In case you need one final clue, the name of the animal is used in Rhys's favourite sex position.
Wonder what that could be. But obviously it comes hand in hand with being outdoors and links to sport. We've had many a fun time with Rhys playing sport, including pharmacy rugby, our in squash tournaments, and most recently, triathlons. Now, some of you would think we'd have to be crazy to take on such a feat like an Ironman, and you'd be right, especially when we heard that during the Ironman Wales, Rhys had a will moment and basically shat himself on the run. We've also been on many outdoor adventures together, including skiing, diving, canyoning, where Rhys took a little too much interest in Urus when he came skipping along the road in his budgie smugglers and hiking boots. It's a two-way thing. Rhys has taken quickly to most of these tasks. On his first skiing trip, it wasn't long before he was flying down the slopes, followed by more shit dance moves to trashy Europop. When it came to scuba diving, he wasn't quite such a natural. Rhys, the oxygen addict Davis, ruined the rest of the group's fun by running out of air and forcing us all to the surface, whilst he breathed from the instructor's tank, on every single dive. Continuing the shit theme, we've discovered over the years that Rhys can produce the world's most horrendous wind, as testified to hotboxing a toilet in Nice when Rhys left a log so powerful it made our eyes water.
Still taste it.
We've also had a time in Egypt when Rhys was seen running back to the hotel room from an activity on the beach, as the diarrhea was too much and the triathlon training came into good use. He also produces unruly amounts of snot, testified by his constant hanky in the pocket, and also when he was diving in Egypt and had the biggest clump of snot on the inside of his mask. Jade, we'd like to give you a special toast for putting up with his bowel habits for this long. And now you're married to the guy, there's no escaping that smell. Till death do you part.
So over the years, we've been lucky enough to go on a number of holidays together as a wolf pack, travelling the globe. And sorry Jade, but there is no intention for these trips to stop. We started domestically with our tour around Worcester on a canal boat and discovered a few things about Rhys that week. One, he is absolutely dog shit at driving a boat, although so was Owen, so maybe it's just a Welsh thing. Two, he is shit at negotiating with bouncers after he's had 10 pints. Three, seeing Rhys stood at the back of the boat, vomiting over the side into a lock at 8 AM on a Monday morning will really ruin that commute for the locals. And four, he thinks Bounty chocolate bars taste like shit. Cue us feeding him bounties forevermore. When we ventured further afield to Brussels, we arrived off the Eurostar on the day England were playing Wales in the Euros. A bet was made between the English and the Welsh, with the people from the losing nation drinking a beer chosen by the people from the winning nation. Now, obviously, England won. This is football after all, not shearing. Naturally, we brought in the strongest beer possible, a casual 12%, and needless to say, Rhys doesn't remember much from that night. Luckily for him, neither do the rest of us. Having completed Europe, we ventured further afield to the other side of the world, a home from home for the Welsh, to New Zealand for a 3-week Lions tour, or at least that's how we sold it to the girlfriends at the time. On the trip, everyone had their roles in the family party. Chris was the dad who paid for everything but didn't give a shit about any of us. Josh was the older, responsible sibling. I was the childish teenager who just liked causing trouble, and Owen was the baby who needed constantly looking after. Rhys's role in all of this was the mother, who actually worried about stuff and made sure we were all okay. So despite our jokes about him being shit friend on that trip, and despite the challenges of a difficult family to deal with, including a baby who wasn't 100% potty trained, he proved a valuable asset and we were glad he was with us. Our most recent trip was to Madrid on his stag do. I think the expression goes something like, what goes on tour stays on tour. So there's only so much we can say about that trip. However, we did learn some more things about Rhys. One, if he drinks too many unicorn cocktails, then yes, his shit will shimmer. You can't polish a turd, but apparently you can cover it in glitter. 2, after 12 pints, Rhys has no taste in stripper, male or female. And 3, having seen what we've seen, none of us will be able to eat a banana in the same way, ever again.
So to summarise, despite the theme of shit, Rhys is actually a great guy. And despite not inviting us to his wedding, he's actually a great friend to us and boyfriend, but now husband to Jade. Over the past 10 years, it's been a privilege and an honour to be Rhys and Jade's friend, and they've both given us as much joy and great happiness as they give to each other, and they make a fantastic couple. Rhys may have shit dance moves, and he may not always be the best at holding his drink, just ask the security guard at the solicitors in Cathays, and he may have the smelliest guts out of anyone we know, but he is a great friend who has made us laugh on so many occasions. We hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. We don't work on anyway.
Our most recent trip was to Madrid on his stag do.
Fucking
No!
so well. It's going so well.
Yeah, carry on.
Now, if you go back a little bit,
You're gonna edit it together.
yeah.
Oh, I thought that was
Aw,
it. Just about
mate.
to
Yeah.
sit in and watch the rugby.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry, we've got this. And 3, 2.
Yeah. Surprise!
Rhys's speech, take 3.
Action! Surprise!